Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another video. Before we get started, go ahead and click that like button so that you can show some love to the video. It really helps out with the algorithm. And also, if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel as well so that you are notified of whenever I am coming up with another video. All right, so you've already seen the title of the video, so you know pretty much what I'm talking about today. This is part 3 of what I've learned from the flip that my wife and I are currently doing. So great news is the flip is done, right? All the repairs are done. It has been a long time coming. My goodness, it took us, maybe 4 months or so, 4.5 months, about 4.5 months. Personally, I feel like it could have been done if we really pushed it in 2 months, maybe a little less, but whatever. 4.5 months first flip, but it turned out beautiful, right? So I'm definitely loving it. And we've already gotten an offer. It's been listed for, I believe, 2 days now. And we've gotten an offer, which is asking at the moment right now, but we do have an open house tomorrow. So that should be fun. So our first open house. And we're definitely gonna, go all out. We have decorations and everything that is positioned for us to market this home as well as we can. So we're definitely excited about that. But I wanted to get into part 3 of what we learned in the process of flipping this home. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1, you need to thoroughly check the work of these contractors, okay? Now, whenever you're coming in, you may be looking with a broad stroke eye, like, oh man, everything looks good, right? If you hit one of these right here, right? You hit one of these, you're gonna miss a lot of stuff. You gotta go in looking for the problem, right? And this may be completely opposite of what you're used to doing on other aspects of life. You may be looking at the bright side, right? But when it comes to the flip being done, you gotta look at, all right, what's wrong, all right? And what we've done is take that blue tape and just mark it next to those different things and just making sure that's taken care of. Now, on top of checking thoroughly, you mark the blue tape, you spoke to the contractor, hey, make sure you get done. They may say, okay, I'm done. Now, before you list it, all right, before it's public to everyone, go back and check the things that were fixed, all right? And let me explain why. So in our particular situation, everything was done right, but there was paint that was around one of the light switches, right? They used the wrong paint. Now, I understand whenever you're painting and when it's still wet, there's a big difference between what is on the wall versus what it looks like, basically, right? Especially if you're just painting a section. But he just painted it and he was on his way. When we got there, it's just completely different paint. All white shades, but a completely different shade of white from the rest of the wall. So because of that, I already knew what time it was. The contractor already got paid on all of their money. And we were listing it a day and a half from then. So what I had to do is go in with some paint, and luckily it was just a small section, so I painted around that light switch because something that an agent spoke to us about, like, hey, regardless of how great the house is, if there's a section of the home that has a terrible paint job, the buyer or whoever's coming to see the house is just gonna assume that the rest of the house is crappy. And this is like, as soon as you walked in the home, it was right here, right? So first impression would have been like, I don't want to see anything else. If you don't care about this, what else don't you care about? So definitely make sure you're checking and rechecking thoroughly everything that could be wrong, blue taping, and once they tell you that it's done, go back and check. Don't take their word for it. Go back and check yourself, because this little thing right here, even though it took me a few minutes to fix, that few minutes could have cost us heavily. So thoroughly check. Next, have a cushion in your budget. All right, now I am a wholesaler as well. I don't just invest in the property. So by being a wholesaler, I'm used to creating estimates, and I put in a little cushion, and I'm used to adding on a little assignment fee to make sure that I get paid at the end of a transaction. But the reason why you want to make sure that you have a cushion is because you never know what things are going to come about. So something that luckily we had a cushion for is the yard. I didn't know that landscaping could cost so much money. We had to put a lot of dirt, a lot of grass, a lot of mulch, a lot of different plants. This was a big yard. So it was a lot that we had to cover. And we also had seeds to put in and filling in the dead spots. But holy crap, that was something. Also, the fence. We just planned on doing a repair initially, but it looked terrible. So we just went ahead, replaced a portion of the fence. And also just little things that come about, that you add on. Initially, we weren't planning on putting an island in the kitchen, but it just looked so much better with the island. And eventually on one of these videos, I'll go ahead and post some pictures of the before and afters, but it just looks so much better with the island. Also the way that just different things that happened in the home. It's like, okay, let's do that. Okay, well, we can't do that unless this is done, and this wasn't on the original quote. So I say all that to say, make sure you have some type of cushion on in your estimate, because if you're thin, if you're like, hey, I need this to be $35,000, and that's what I'm going in thinking, if there's anything over that, then I'm losing money or I'm barely making anything, then forget about it. All right, have your estimate and have your cushion, and hopefully you don't have to go into that cushion. But in most cases, and pretty much every person I spoke to that's ever flipped a house, they're saying basically just know that you're going to go over budget. All right, so have your budget and just know that it's going to go over that. So because you know that it's going to go over what you thought, make sure once you're purchasing it, you do have that built-in cushion just in case things happen. So that's number 2, making sure that you have a cushion in your budget. All right, and number 3, this is actually a little bit of I guess is a little dynamic in how I'm going to say this. So you want to make sure that you're sticking to what your remodeling design plan was, but also be flexible. Okay, so perfect example in the kitchen that we're remodeling. So we knew we're going to do new cabinets. We knew that we had to stay within a certain perimeter because the fur down was on the edge, and that's what divided the breakfast or dining area to the kitchen. And so we couldn't really do much with that because it just boxed everything in and made it look small. And so initially we're saying, you know what, we're not going to mess with the fur down, so we have to keep everything tight. But afterwards, once we just saw how the design process was going and just really thinking about it, it's like, you know what, it would just make a lot more sense, and it would just open up this space so much more if we just got rid of this fur down. All right, now you dig into the fur down, guess what? There's some wiring that's there, so now you got to take care of that. And then guess what? Once the wiring was put there, a light that was working, now that's not working, right? So now you have to make sure that you're accounting for everything that's being done. You do one thing, this thing's happening. Do that thing, and this thing's happening. So be flexible with those, because you can't undo what you just did. You could, but you're doing that for a reason. It's going to add value. So you got to be flexible with what comes after a decision. And there are some other decisions that we decided not to do, right? Because it would have caused a whole other issue. My thing was, I considered adding a window to a particular wall. And initially I was like, well, because we're not painting the entire exterior of the home, if we replace that, then we'd have to put some new brick around it. And if we do new brick there, then, we may not be able to distress it how the rest of the brick looks. And so we're like, you know what, let's not even touch it. But at the end, as we're looking at the house, we're like, you know what, maybe not the window, but we probably should paint the brick, because yes, the brick was purposely, it looks like it was distressed, like it was designed to look like distressed brick, but it just looked old. It didn't look distressed on purpose. It looked like it was like an involuntary distress. Like, it looked like the true distress, right? So with that, we decided to go ahead and just paint it. But it was a great decision. It looks amazing. And like I said, in a future video, make sure that you guys see not only the end product, but just show different clips of the journey that we had during that process. But with that being said, that's part 3 of what I've learned during our first flip. All right, and just run through them again. Number 1, make sure you check the work thoroughly. All right, number 2, make sure you have a cushion in your budget. And number 3, you want to stick to your remodeling guns, but you want to be flexible with whatever may come about. All right, so again, thank y'all so much for watching this video. And again, if you have not, go ahead and click the like button and also subscribe to this channel because it does help out the algorithm and it helps you to be able to view this video or other videos that I do in the future as well. So again, thank y'all so much and I look forward to you all watching additional videos. Y'all take care.